Hi everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. So, I don't even know how to title this thing. So this is the box after the Horror Mag. So it's the end of the Silver Age collection, the third part of that. And I guess it's the second video of the third part of the Silver... anyway, I'll figure it out. Hopefully it won't be too stupid. But this is the first comic box. So we did the magazine box with the horror, sci-fi, vampy, eerie, creepy, some oddball stuff in there. So this is the first of the comic boxes. And this is how I got it. It's got old tape. See, some type of water damage. It says Fantastic Four. I did not write that, and I would suspect that lid is not on the right box. Here we had more wasp nest mud daubers. So again, I don't know where this was at, but it was someplace hot. So attic maybe, I don't know. I'm afraid one of the bottoms are going to fall out. Oh, and again, no handles. So old school box there. And I'm not going to keep these boxes, so I'm going to be kind of careful. So they really crammed these boxes full. Well, some of the boxes were overstuffed. 2 boxes were only about half full, and the spines broke. And I don't know which box it is here. I think it's that one. It had the Thor in it. It had a bunch of Marvel titles. I think it had the Thor and maybe some Hulk. I can't remember, but all the spines were broken, about 5-6 spots, because the boxes were too loose. So we're just going to start here. I think this is DC. I didn't really write on them. I did take these all out and look at them briefly. It did take me quite a while to go through the collection. This is right up my alley. Horror sci-fi guy. There's a chunk missing out of that, unfortunately. But again, that goes back to storage. So I'm just going to set these here, and we'll go through them one by one. That's 21. Started at 20. I wonder if there's another batch of these somewhere. I don't know. 22. Here's the Demon, Jack Kirby cover art. I don't think it's particularly valuable. The number 1 sure isn't. I've had enough of those. 5. There's 7. So it doesn't look like, at least right now, I've got a complete run of Demon. From Beyond the Unknown, boy, I was buying these as a kid. I believe I have all these issues. I have to check, and I'll see, maybe I can upgrade, but I doubt it. So here's one. I don't know if you can see in the reflection, it had light water damage. It was probably in the front of a box, because it looks like this thing's stuck. It's got some foxing, but it looks like it was maybe pressed up against some cardboard. Pages are loose, so I mean, it's low grade, but at least you can read it. There again, that's a really early comic that I purchased as a kid, and that was a big deal because that was a quarter. So that was like, you know, whatever it was, a nickel or dime more than usual. And here we go. So seen a lot of this where it was put back in carelessly and bent a corner. This is a Joe Kubert cover, and it is technically a work cover. It's got the jet airplanes, but I think this is something that even a lot of Joe Kubert fans don't realize. He did the cover to that book, and it's not one I see a lot. And be careful here. So I'm going to shift these, because you see how they shift, and they're not boarded. So when there's not enough in there, they kind of curl and all the spines break. So we're going to try not to repeat that. Always like that cover. It's an adventure comic. So for a while there, they kind of moved away from the Superman covers. Kind of went horror sci-fi. Can't remember how long it lasted. It wasn't super long. They had some killer Spectre covers. Oh, here's Demon number 1. So there is another little batch of the Demon. And there's 2. These aren't too bad a condition here. 3. And there's 4. So those are a little nicer. Probably sell those maybe as a set. I'm not a fan of that, so that's something definitely I'll look them over closer and get sorted. Oh, there's number 14. I think the other one started at what, 2021? Maybe this will go backwards. There's 14. Oh, no, of course not. 15. So they were taken out and put back in not where they were taken out. 16. Oh, there's another one. And I don't know what happened here. So arrival dates, they usually don't punish you too much, but that's when the term is unobtrusive. So I don't know what this is. That looks like the real arrival date there, but I'm not sure. That does damage it, though. It's too bad. It's a really nice cover on that. So that's unfortunate. House of Mystery, I don't have a lot of interest and never have in the Dial H for Hero stuff. 166, 168. This is a little better. It's a little newer, but killer, absolutely killer covers on these. This is a lower grade. Got a lot of rubbing on it. Page quality is good. You can see there's maybe just a little bit of foxing, which is to be expected if there's water around, moisture. But really killer Neal Adams covers. There's 180. That one's pretty nice. That's a nice shape there. 186. You can see it's got some foxing up there. The pan or pan flute cover, so that one's pretty neat. I don't know if it really helps sales or not, to be honest with you. I bought every one I could get as a kid. This is a little before my time. I started buying them when they were 20 centers, so this is a little before I had access to nickels, dimes, quarters, and comics. But just an absolutely wonderful set of Neal Adams artwork on these. And these are all look like they're about VG. I haven't been showing them, but it looks like along the spines of a lot of these, they have some foxing and staining. And again, that's just from moisture, and then they weren't protected, so they kind of stick to each other and make it worse. 100-page Giant. Now this is one I believe I did buy. I don't remember if it was right off the shelf or a little later, and I actually need a nice one of those. I do not have a nice copy of that. And it looks like we take a big leap in numbers there. That's 282. That's also, I don't know if you can see it there by her right elbow. That's a Joe Kubert cover. I know he's known for his War and Tarzan, but he did other stuff. And that's S20. So that was one of the special DC special series. House of Secrets 84. Still have some fantastic covers on these. Look at that. Number 90. And oh, fantastic. And I gotta tell you, I don't have a lot of these. Now here you go. You know what it is? 3, 2, 1. So first appearance Swamp Thing. And it's a gray tone. It's a Bernie Wrightson cover. I have one. It is not this nice. This is probably, well, let's see, it's got a crease down there, but I still think it would make fine. That's going to be tough to let go of. I'm going to have to compare that to the one I have. A lot of these are nicer than the ones I had, because the ones I still have were from when I was a kid, and I did not take very good care of comics until I was much older. Phantom Stranger, it's another series I do not see a lot. There is demand for it, especially mid-grade and higher. I just don't see them. That's probably a little on the low grade, VG or less. But it'd be really nice if I had a run of those. And again, I'll have to look through mine and see which ones are upgraded. I have this one and I have a nice one. You can't tell, but this one there, maybe you can see it on the back. Lots of water damage. This thing's just wrinkled all to beat heck on that one. And that's number 17. This is one of my all-time favorite covers. Number 18, Phantom Stranger 18. I love that cover. That one's pretty good too, actually. Number 20, but I don't know if you can see along the edge there. See those stains? That's heavy foxing, and that's from water. So I'm trying to pick these out carefully. Since they're not bagged and boarded, that's not going to work. I'm going to put them up there. Really nice quality book here. It's a newer one though, so it needs to be. Great mummy cover on that. Here's another one of those adventures without Superman on it. Again, just a little bit of foxing. I was wondering if the rest of the demons were in here. There was a few numbers skipped, and it looks like that was 9. Here's 10, so it looks like I probably am going to be pretty close by the time I'm done with the complete run of the Jack Kirby, the Trigan series. They keep threatening to do something with him. He's been in some of the animated stuff. So he's been in, I think it was Brave and the Bold, or was it Justice League? Anyway, so he has shown up there. But you don't see him as, I guess, a major villain or character. Strange Adventures, yes, I've been looking for a run of these for a long time, and these are really terrible. And I can tell you right now, by feeling it, it's missing at least 4 pages in there. That is way too thin a book. I'll check later. I love the covers on these. That's number 200, but again, really rough, maybe a good. Animal Man, he's one of those characters that gets hot for 5 seconds and goes away. You got a chunk missing out of there. Strange Adventures, now when you get Boston Brand on the cover, a couple others, it helps a lot. Otherwise, I don't know, there's interest, but they're not kicking down the door. That's a great cover. Get the Adam Strange covers on there. Those are always good to sell. And yes, I do collect these too. I believe I've got them all though. Again, I'll have to look, but I'm pretty sure I've got most of them. This was kind of a, if you remember the Planet of the Apes movie, so this was kind of a riff on that. Wasn't with apes, but kind of that whole post-apocalyptic America, we failed, war in Washington, 1990. Boy, if only they knew, huh? And here we go, some more Adam Strange. This is a little older one, 224. And I don't hate this cover, but for some reason, it's a Joe Kubert cover. It sure gets a lot more attention than I would expect. It's not a bad cover, but I don't think it's a great cover. But boy, it's one that always sells. There's 227. That one I've always kind of liked, kind of retro 50s sci-fi cover. That's 228. So here we go. We've still got a ways to go. These are not, they look like short boxes, but they are not. They are about 2/3 boxes, about what they are. 229 there. Oh, I love this cover. That's one of my favorite covers too. Bringing back lots of memories just going through here. For a long time, Gorilla and Ape covers sold, both back in the day and also to collectors in the secondary market. I don't know if they're quite as hot as they used to be, but they still seem to be popular enough. I never got into them much. I don't know what a Gorilla on Mars is doing, but whatever. Another Doomsday cover, Adam Strange story inside there. These are Joe Kubert art on a lot of these, if not all of them. Here's something that's interesting because it's got Batman, Superman on the cover. Sure, it was put on there to try and boost sales. That's typically what they had. You can see it, and the Justice League of America, which he did cross over in the JLA books and other books too. He did cross over a lot with the Justice League in his stories. That's a nifty, that's kind of an EC weird science fantasy throwback cover. It's not Wally Wood, but it's still pretty good cover. Here's another one of the Gorilla covers I was talking about. They seem to have those fairly regularly. This is, let's see, is that Mike Kaluta? Yeah, this is Mike Kaluta cover. Did some of the shadow stuff in that era for DC Comics. Really, really good covers. Some of my favorites there too. Oh, we got a Marvel book in here. I don't know, he must have been astray. Astonishing Tales with Deathlock. You know, when you see those YouTube videos and they give you titles and stuff to invest in, that's not one of them. Don't do that. That would be a terrible, terrible idea. So Superman's Pal, we're going to be coming up on something. That's 102 is where this run is starting. And it must be a subcrease down the center. I don't know. A lot of rubbing on it. Yeah, it's a little rough. There's one of those books. I said in the first video with the magazines that this is 95%. Okay, of how I got it, and one of the exceptions is coming up here. It's not in this batch, but it'll be coming up soon, and I'll explain that. There's another one. I always get a little nervous when you do that and hope the corner doesn't pull loose, but these are new enough with good enough paper quality. It should be okay. These sure look like subscription books with that crease rubbing right down the center. There's 108. So again, a little bit out of order here maybe. Some of the Jimmy Olsens are okay. I gotta tell you, a lot of them do not sell well unless they've got the Neil Adams cover, Don Rickles photo cover, and there are a couple of issues. I guess you'd call them soft keys or semi keys. This one's in really terrible shape. That cover is barely hanging on. I'm not even going to open it. But not a lot of people putting too many of these together for runs. Oh, getting that one. Okay, there we go. It's a square bound. And here we're kind of getting into that new art phase, I guess you would call it. They actually kind of moved from that 60s look to the more modern 70s look. And you're going to see that right here. And this one with 115, great cover. The quality of art on this one compared to those ones you just saw, night and day difference on that. And here's 116. So it wasn't consistent yet. You still have the kind of that cartoony slapstick style in there. So that was 115. And that's 116. But it was slowly changing over here. And there's 117. These are all low grade again. Hippie Olsen. That's one of those covers, just that whole mod hippie era. Pretty popular with collectors. Oh, Phantom Stranger, very classic cover. That's way out of order. Here's a crossover. Absolutely brilliant cover on that thing. Holy cow, is that nice? With that Swamp Thing cover. And now we're back to Jimmy Olsen. And this is very common. This collection is actually organized better than most of them, because honestly, usually it's just a jumble and nothing's in orders. But it's not unusual to have like a couple of those oddball titles snuck in the wrong place. And again, these are pretty low grade. You can probably see the one I was talking about earlier. It'll be on the front stack of the next one. Here's another cover that a lot of collectors go after. Kind of that moon travel, moon launch era, the Apollo era stuff. So that's still kind of popular. And the covers, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of a, not as consistent, you know. You'll have kind of some average covers, and then all of a sudden there'll be a killer cover in there. Oh, I'm going to put that there. I don't need that one flopping over. You'll see why. So that's 132. Now 133, things changed quite a bit. So all of a sudden, Kirby is here, so Jack Kirby covers on him. This one's fairly nice, but got wet. You can see there's a little rust on the staple. That's a good book. In fact, I'm going to start a new pile. Here's one that I pulled out. I saw it was in there. If you know, it's Darkseid. First appearance of Darkseid. And I want to show you something else. And I've owned a lot of comics, and this is still a very unusual find. So here it is. I want to show you. I didn't know this. I was looking through it, and my friend Chad was with me, and he's like, "Oh, that's a..." Check this out. Double cover. So it's a double cover. Darkseid. First appearance of Darkseid, Jimmy Olsen. 134. Paper quality is pretty good. Centerfold was intact. I don't want to flip through it too much. Because it's a double cover, I'll probably send that to CGC. In fact, by the time you see this video, it's probably down in Florida right now, getting graded on that. But that's one I did pull out. It is in the place, so you know, I put it back where I found it, but I did want to put a bag and board on that so nothing happened to it. Well, nothing else happened to it. But then you can kind of see the whole seriousness, you know, the Jimmy Olsen wasn't the kind of gag slapstick book it used to be. Definitely a Kirby cover on there. You can tell that. Newsboy Legion. More Kirby. Here's one of the Don Rickles covers I was talking about. It's got his caricature black and white photo. They're just goofy enough that they're very collectible. When I sell them, put them up for sale, they don't stick around very long at all. Here's the other one. Look at this. There you go. So there's the full photo with the Guardian and Superman and Jack Kirby. And here's another one. This one has actually been harder for me to get than the Don Rickles or the Darkseid. I have had very few of these Jack Kirby vampire covers, and they always sell really, really well. But I rarely find them in any grade. 143, you can't see it, must have got wet. There's absolutely no gloss left. And it kind of feels like sandpaper on the cover, so that's a pretty good sign. It got damp and probably stuck to something, probably the book in front of it and behind it. So 144, you can see it's just more Kirby art here. And you wouldn't think of Darkseid maybe showing up in Jimmy Olsen, but it was part of the New Gods. So when Kirby was doing his New Gods book, there was a tie-in there. And if you look in this fine print, new Jimmy Olsen. So they're always kind of trying to revamp it. I am really surprised. This and the Superman's Girlfriend, I can't talk. I can't believe either one of those titles ran as long as it did. I've tried to read them. I'm not a Superman fan myself, which is probably a big problem with that. Oh, looks like I got to switch batteries, so I will be right back. Okay, there we go. Battery is changed, and I can't even blame that on the battery ghost because I have been filming literally non-stop all day, so I've definitely gotten my use out of them this time. Trying to get this all done. I've got a couple of shows coming up. If you're going to be in Des Moines, 28th, 29th October, that's 2023, free show, Merle Hay Mall, during regular mall hours. Stop by and see me. If you got a collection you want to sell, stop by and see me. And a week after that, November 4th, Johnston, Iowa, Stony Creek Inn, another free show, one day only. Stop on by. And let's see, Jimmy Olsen 151. As I was saying before, I can't believe that Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane books ran as long as they did. I don't know. I'd like some of the covers, but I don't know. I've tried to read them and tried to get into the Superman and tried to get into this, and I've read a lot of them, and it is just not my first choice. I think it's a very hard character. When you have an invulnerable character, you have to put them in so many weird situations to fool them or foil them or whatever for a few pages. It just gets a little off the wall. And here we go back to Superman. Now this is a little older, so that's 212 there. Again, maybe a VG, not a, keep catching that on my microphone on the camera, sorry. 217, again, it's another giant size. Not super high grade. Superman family, I've had a little better luck with this. Not as good as the Batman family. I don't know if it's a distribution thing, but I do have a little more interest in these. You can see it's got those finger smudges in the title, so smeared the ink. Here's one I do not see a lot. I don't think it's super killer valuable. It's a Superboy 156 giant size. It's just one that I don't turn up. Here's a newer Sergeant Rock 353. I think it ended in the 400 somewhere, so it's getting towards the end of the run, and that one's pretty low grade. Now I don't want these flopping forward. I don't want them flopping anyway. So Star Spangled War 161, Unknown Soldier. I don't think that's his first appearance. I can't remember what it is. Should have looked that up. I forgot. There's another box that has a lot of these in here. I was kind of surprised to see that one. Nicer shape though. Good find, I would say. So another high-end Sergeant Rock. So here's Lois. And you can see the foxing on that. Water damage, feels like it's through the whole book. Very wrinkled. Still readable. Here's a cover that's fairly collectible. The Indian Maid or Indian Mom cover. Again, that one was water damaged. This one's in better shape. So those should both be very saleable on that in any condition. They're not ripped up. Here's another one that Good Girl Art bikini bondage cover, and it's got the Justice League on there. 111. That's a pretty good cover. Superman has a tree, not so much. Here's one that's taken off a little bit, I think, anyway. It's the Lois Lane, but it ties into the romance books. They had a romance series DC did for a long time, and that kind of ties into the Valentine's Day thing, if I remember right. But it's kind of a romance story book, so that was kind of interesting. Okay, the Thorn. Again, she's been a character that's kind of come and gone. Has a huge crease in the cover, though. That's going to be a little tough to move. Murder Mystery with the typewriter and the cryptic note. There's a couple. There's the Lois Lane as a black woman. That's a very, very popular cover. And I don't know if it's in here because I thumbed through them, but I do not recall seeing it. But it could very well be in here. It may not be in this box. Could be stuck someplace else. I've got a couple different copies of that. I've run into that before. I don't know. I don't know if they bought two off the newsstand or they lost one and thought they needed it. I'm not sure. Here's another sought-after cover. It's another Bondage GGA Weird Menace cover. That one's fairly good because, again, it's another Good Girl Art headlight cover there. Same here. It's got the Lois Jungle Queen cover on it, so that's another one that does get collected. And we're back to Jimmy Olsen's now. So you got Brainiac. This is number 86. So this is probably the oldest batch in here, I would guess. 92. These are all water damaged. Here, this is the previous one. See, it's got a big old stain and dirt on it. That thing was soaked through. That one, you can see all the foxing on it, soaked through both sides. Thankfully, though, it wasn't some of those Neil Adams covers in there, or the Jack Kirby covers. So it didn't do quite as much damage. We're getting towards the end. We'll see if Jimmy closes out this box or not. 98 on that one. And there we've kind of got the Legion of Superheroes guest starring in there. Some Boy, Element Lad, Lightning Lad. Number 99, Jimmy's the one-man Legion of Superheroes. Another water damaged book. It's number 100. It's his wedding, which, it's like a futuristic thing like they did for everybody really at that time. Kind of like a what if, really. Well, there's Superman's parents. Superman as a baby. He was the nanny. Oh, here it is. Here's the one I was talking about. So it's Superman. Lois Lane that goes into this crypt thing, and it's a body mold, and then she comes out as a black woman in the 70s. So very sought after. This one's actually halfway decent shape. It's got a ping up there in the edge. Now see, I said that, but then it's got foxing down there. So I'll have to take a closer look. But that is one of the more sought after covers from that era for the Lois Lane book. Oh, one fell over. And here's another, almost a gray tone cover. Again, lots of foxing and rubbing, not as heavy as the others. And the last one in this box is a Lois Lane 108. So Gentleman Ghost there. And here, let me look. I just want to... So I don't know if you can see this part. So that got wet and that's the cover to something. Something fell over in that box and stuck, and they pulled it up and it peeled the chunk off. I don't know which book yet. I haven't seen the matching book. And see how wiggly these things are? So if you pack them full, they're fairly solid, but if they're loose, this is a very wiggly box with no handles. So, you know, obviously designs for these things have come a really long way. So that's it. I got a bunch more of these comic videos coming up, so check those out, and thanks for watching.